Hello, my name is Lucas Riegler and I'm studying in Salzburg in the 6th semester and I'm becoming a primary classroom teacher.
Okay. Hello, I'm Denise. I'm German, but I'm doing a teacher training in Oxford at the Oxford Brookes University, and I've gained already some experience in multicultural classrooms, and I'm looking forward to gain more or acquire strategies for inclusive teaching.
Hi, I'm Daniela. I'm from Austria as well as Lucas. I'm currently studying history and English in order to become a teacher in secondary school in Austria. I have some experiences with working with children with migrant background, and basically that's it.
We've been doing our observation in a school which is on the countryside. The kids are from 3 to 11 years old and there are several classes, and from my point of view it was quite a big school. So what do you think about the school?
I think my general impression is that a very positive school environment came across to me, I'd say, also among the pupils, so they showed a lot of respect to each other and supported each other, but also among all kinds of staff in the school, which really created a very positive image of the school for me.
And what about the migrant population, Daniela?
Well, basically we had the opportunity to observe, you could say 3 to 4 children with migrant background. It's a bit complicated because they're called like the gypsies or les enfants du voyage, which means like the travelers or traveler families. And it was quite difficult to identify their culture and their cultural background, as the gypsies are a very heterogeneous group. And I experienced that they're really, like, you could say, socially integrated into the classroom. So they really, get along with their colleagues. But there are obviously some deficits when it comes to their education.
From the age from 3 to 6, and they really learn how to behave in school. But some of the gypsy families let their kids stay away from this and only bring them to school when they start to be in the preparatory. So they really get thrown into this school system and they don't know how to behave, so they really have a lack of socialization, so to say.
And that's why that was actually our focus, to find out how the teachers or the school in general tries to make up of this deficit that they might experience in their first year of school, if in case they skipped this maternelle stage. So we especially paid attention to different strategies of inclusion in the classroom with those gypsy pupils, they were called.
And we have experienced that there were like different teaching styles towards the gypsies. But overall, you could say that everyone was quite committed to really compensate this deficit. You could say that teachers, this is our impression, teachers are quite committed, quite proactive when it comes to really include children with migrant background. Although there are different approaches.
Approaches, I would say.
Yeah, for example, like Daniela said, the more general attitude of all teachers to try to accommodate the specific needs of those children, but also there were other kind of approaches in place where those kind of multicultural or gypsy pupils were taken out from the lessons, often even regularly, to get support by a specialist individually. So, for example, in year 1, they would work on pronunciation of certain phonemes or also words, and would also practice writing. And especially this lack of practice in writing comes or results often from a lack of support by those parents who would not really make their children do the homework that is given, for example.
But from my point of view, it's really the lack of attending the maternelle, because in the first 3 years they really do a lot of writing and also talking, and if you skip those classes, you are really missing a very huge amount of of this training of these skills. So yeah.
And according to our 4 days observation, we could identify challenges and chances for those gypsy children. And from my personal view, I think that there's a lack of knowledge about those Roma groups, and I would definitely include myself, as I, not very well informed about the situation of Roma families. So I think that's one thing, that teachers are not quite sure what this culture is like, especially at home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they are not interested. I think there's a lot of insecurity, just lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as we have as we have been told by the teacher of the class, it's also difficult to get in contact with the parents of the kids, because most of them get to the school by bus. So and also some of the parents are analphabets. So the teacher tries to send a message to them via the kids, but they are maybe not able to read it or to respond to it.
Yeah, so that's why it is actually really important that there are alternative ways to communicate, or also support those kids, especially in writing, that this vicious circle wouldn't be continued. Because if there wouldn't be that extra support, they will never reach or can catch up with the other pupils in their class. So this is very important, that this is made up by, for example, additional support outside the class or inside the class by the teachers with their support.
And one thing that was also very striking, if you compare it, for example, to Austria, that if you have a look at the school books, then you can already see that they were trying to really illustrate ethnic characters. So, and you cannot really find that in Austria. Like you have some, different, let's say, races in the school book. And I think this is also another approach to really visualize the diversity in a classroom. Yeah.
And also what was a bit striking was sometimes the seating of those pupils, because often the weaker pupils or the ones with a similar culture, and regarding their background as being referred to gypsies, so they were mostly seated in the same area. So we were wondering if this is a good or bad thing, because in my opinion it would make sense to mix them with the others, so they can get and really grow from peer support, who might be a bit stronger, more able to help each other, rather than always getting the support from the teacher. I think that could be a development that could actually enhance their learning a bit, if the support would not only be through the teacher but also through their peers who are more able.
So, Lucas, having been part of this observation team for the last 4 or 5 days, what are your conclusions, your personal conclusions?
I think that there is a lot of underachievement going on with these pupils. So they really get a stamp on their head. So you are a gypsy kid, so you don't get the worksheet that the others get. You get some special, easier stuff because you cannot do this. So teachers should really have a look on what these pupils actually can do. Because, for example, one girl, we found out that she can speak German because her grandmother is from Germany, and to her grandmother she speaks German, but I don't think that any of the teacher knows this. So there is a lot of cognitive skill which those kids bring with them, but they get underachieved, and it's
Yeah, I also think that this cultural diversity can be or should be celebrated, because it would enrich the other pupils as well if the culture and also the languages that are spoken, the different languages should be explored by the others as well, so it can be celebrated and enrich each other.
Yeah, my personal view about those last days is that you really need to differentiate between language and culture. Like, even though you have some barriers with speaking French perfectly fine, it doesn't mean that you don't understand it. Or maybe this could be a reason, but it's not that, like you said, this should not be a reason to consider them as pupils with special needs, for example.
Yeah.
So I really think that you should differentiate between language and culture. And for me personally, I do think that we have to be very careful with reducing children only with regards to their ethnicity. Because I think that in general, human beings are just more than an ethnicity.
Yeah.
So, this is part of the project, but still I think we really have to see the whole picture.
Yeah.
And that's what you're referring to, there are no the gypsies and no the French, they're always individuals.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important that we really reflect on different components of a person. Yeah.
And then, sorry.
No, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then probably the differentiation by expectation, as you were referring to the underachievement, could be changed then, that they have actually higher expectations and the children would actually grow faster because they would try to achieve higher, because it's more recognized that they have those abilities as well.
So we have to see it as a fact that we have a heterogeneous class. And from my point of view, the teachers see their class as a homogeneous group of French pupils and the others. But even the French pupils are not the same. So you should have a look at every single child. What can it do and where do I have to support it?